the stillness of the night, there comes a time to understand, to reach out and touch tomorrow, take the future in our hand. We can see a new horizon built on all that we have done, and our dreams begin another thousand circles around the sun. We go on to the joy and through the tears. We go on to discover new frontiers. Moving on with the current of the years. We go on, moving forward now as one. Moving on with the spirit born to run. With each rising sun to a new day we go on.
There's really no secret about our approach. We keep moving forward, opening up new doors, doing new things, because we're curious. And curiosity keeps leading us down new paths. We're always exploring and experimenting. We call it ImagineEars.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the ImagineEars Disney podcast. I am your host, Matt, and I am joined again by my good friend and co-host, Susie. She has returned.
I'm back. Hold on,
I
I gotta turn my fan on. It's a little warm. Hold on. I'm still here. I always wait until the last second. I'm like, I need to make an adjustment before
It wasn't
the show.
warm for the past 15 minutes.
I wasn't in this room.
Okay.
But yes, I'm back. Last week, shout out to John Rogers for filling in. He is fantastic. You guys need to go follow his show and listen to his stuff.
Travel Tips Tuesday.
He goes live after we do. He's in a different time zone. But I also want to thank some of our listeners who reached out to me personally to check on Copper. I really appreciate that. That was super nice of you guys. He is doing great. I don't want to disclose what happened. It was kind of a freak accident. Everything's fine. He was fine then. We just didn't know until we got to the vet. I'm going to leave it at that. Matt knows.
I know. And I want to share, but I can't.
In a different world, I would, but it's just a long story, but everything's fine. And I'm here. He's walking around sniffing my house for some reason. He's a hound dog.
Very good. So
Yeah.
he is alive and well and feeling better.
Oh, he was feeling good last week. It was just
Yes,
it was
he
just
was.
a lot to deal with.
We'll let you put the pieces together. All right. So special shout out to everybody who is tuning in live. Swansea, Michael, who else was on here? Kyle
We got
popped in and say hello.
Dusty asking about booking a
Yes,
trip. We'll reach out to you after the show, dude.
Dusty. Well, we'll
Who?
just go ahead and do this right now for
Oh
everybody, shall
yeah.
we? Dusty, going to Disney in September. Going to have you guys book the trip for me. Can I get your email, Matt and or Susie? And it would be yes, both of us. You can find us Imagineers Podcast. IMAGINEEARS. So imagine and then ears. So 2 E's in that email. Podcast@gmail.com. We are your trusty travel agents, whether it is Disney or Universal or cruises, all inclusives. We're working with some client. I'm working with a lot of clients actually who are traveling to Europe. Europe travel is opening back up, which is great, and a lot of countries aren't even requiring the test anymore if you are fully vaccinated. And for a lot of European countries, fully vaccinated also means booster as well.
Yeah.
But if you have the vaccine and a booster, you just need to show proof of that. You don't need a test to come into the country. Still need your test to come back to the US for right now. Hopefully that changes in the next couple of months. But we have people going to England and Paris, going to the French Open, going to Italy, doing Greece cruises. So yeah, things are starting to open back up. Super exciting. Love being able to see my clients who have been cooped up, and rightfully so, the past couple of years, be able to get out there, as we say at Travelmation. So
We do say that at Travelmation, and I'm working on my third booking for a large family group that is going, the third different client of a large family going to Disney. They just all haven't been able to do stuff in the last couple of years, so everyone's getting out, doing these trips together, making up for lost time. It's good. Life is good.
fantastic. So, yep. So if you guys want to book your trip with us, again, there are no charges to work with us. It comes as a free service to you, and in turn, you're helping some small businesses in this very strange time that we're in with COVID travel. And that's why you can depend on us, because we really do try to keep up with policies. So literally, you don't have to worry about anything. You just pack your bags and hop on that plane or car and get to your destination, and we're with you from booking all the way through the end of your trip. So if you experience problems, you need to reschedule, you're not the one that is on the phone for hours on end with airlines or hotels. We do that on your behalf, again, so you can have the most stress-free travel experience as possible. So, fun times. And Susie's starting to kill it a little bit here, yeah?
Yeah, no, she kind of is. Yeah, lots of stuff happening, and I love being a travel agent. I'm glad you finally pulled me into it after a couple
What?
years of this show. Which, by the way, we are, what is even today? The 22nd. We're like 3 weeks away from celebrating 4 years of the Imagineers Disney podcast.
Yep, 4 years, April 15th. Yay, tax day. At least
Yeah.
something good came out of that day, right?
Right.
And I was
Wow.
actually kind of curious. Again, numbers aren't all that important to me. I don't care, because I know we were close last time I checked.
I know what you're looking for.
Yeah.
I'm
So
nervous.
we are less than 1,000 downloads from our 200,000th download of the podcast.
Wow.
So yeah.
That
Thank you,
is
guys.
unreal. Thank you, guys. Oh my gosh, we could literally hit that within like the next week.
I think we'll do that.
I think we definitely can.
So thank you. And we really mean it. Like we love doing this podcast for you guys almost every week. Sometimes we have things come up like hungry dogs, where we're not able to join you. But we love just having a good time, coming on here and laughing with you and just talking about fun subject matter, and helping you also make good travel decisions. So, I mean, this is why we do it. We appreciate you guys for listening each and every week. Couldn't do it without you. So, thank you.
Wow.
All
What a
right.
good little intro we had here. That was very heartwarming.
Yeah. So,
Hold on.
all right. Well,
Someone is about to be also doing something he shouldn't. Leave that. He just goes and looks at his food container sometimes. He just
feed me.
he eats so much.
So,
Anyway, yeah, tonight. So interesting you brought up Europe travel, because Europe will
Yes.
play a role in our topic tonight. Look at that.
yes,
It's
partially.
called a-
Yes.
called a transition.
So I saw this on Twitter. I was familiar with the topic well before this, but
Mhm.
there was a couple of still images posted on Twitter by an individual. I can't remember his name, but it harkened back to some long forgotten, abandoned projects in Epcot, specifically World Showcase. Now, these two were part of many projects, countries,
Mhm.
things that were abandoned with Epcot. And there's a ton of reasons why these specific two things, or really anything that was canceled at this point in time in Epcot, there are a number of reasons. You know, Epcot went over budget by a lot. Um, Attendance wasn't what it was expected to be when it first
Yeah.
opened. You For a lot of Epcot attractions, whether it's a pavilion, whether a country pavilion, a one of the future world pavilions, rides themselves, Disney really did rely on sponsorships for those.
Mhm.
So some sponsorships fell through, and one in particular that we're going to talk about tonight. One of the reasons it fell through, a perfect sponsor for it, you couldn't have a competitor in the same market for the items that they sell in the same park. It would have led to some problems, and we'll get into that. So, but there are a number of projects that were in promotional items for Epcot and specifically World Showcase.
Mhm.
Equatorial Africa, that didn't work out again. Sponsors were backing out. Some say that even a lot of the countries were kind of in a war with each other on, what country gets represented more than the others and things like that.
Yeah.
Israel was going to be a pavilion. Spain was going to be a pavilion. At sometimes Venezuela, there was going to be some Nordic countries involved. Eventually, obviously we did get Norway,
Norway.
but Argentina, I think, was considered at one point. Russia was considered, and we've talked about the Russia Pavilion in an Epcot in an episode that was quite a while back.
Mhm.
But tonight we are going to talk about two countries. One of the countries does exist, but two specific projects. So there were other projects within these countries, but the two we're going to talk about are ones that would have literally changed the landscape of Epcot itself.
Drastically.
Yeah. So the first one, well, okay, so let's show you these first.
Mhm.
These were going to be in Japan, and this was also going to be part of a Switzerland pavilion. So we're going to be talking about the Mount Fuji coaster in Japan, and we're going to be talking about the Matterhorn in Switzerland.
Mhm.
And just to kind of give you a visual representation, because we did see video of these two projects and models in Epcot in World Showcase at one point in time. So this is a clip from a Disney special that was actually specifically talking about, and you'll see it in the clip, specifically talking about the American Adventure, what kind of went behind it. This clip is like less than a minute, but you are
Mhm.
going to visually see the models for Fuji and the Matterhorn. So here it is.
And in California at Walt Disney Imagineering, the design and manufacturing division of the Walt Disney Company. These talented artists, engineers, and technicians helped create Disneyland and Walt Disney World's Magic Kingdom. Then they tackled the challenge of creating Walt Disney's greatest dream, Epcot Center.
So there we go. As you saw in the video, two not small landscape items. I mean, these things stuck out like a sore thumb, and they would have been key
Yeah.
landmarks. Use the Disney term weenie. They were going to be weenies of the park. So, so let's start with Japan and Mount Fuji. So,
Mhm.
I think what's super interesting about this particular ride is that even before this ride, there was going to be another attraction for the Japan Pavilion. It was going to be a Circle Vision type theater, but they built the show building for it,
Yeah.
and it's still there. Like, it exists. It's not used, but it exists. And they made some construction mistakes with the building, and the actual building dimensions didn't quite fit with the show apparatus. So they would have had to have dismantled the second floor of the building itself. So that is when I think they moved on to this idea of making the Fuji coaster. And there's actually not a lot of information about this attraction other than it was going to be essentially the Matterhorn in Disneyland plopped into Epcot, which I'm fine with.
I'm fine with, but as we get into this, we're going to be noticing a bit of a theme with
Yes.
what we're talking about tonight. Yeah. Anyway, this whole thing just cracks me up, by the way, because I kind of like how there are like iconic things in each of the different countries, but none of them are like, you know, massive. So they all just kind of flow in together. And when you look at the sightline with Mount Fuji, it is wild. It is huge.
Yeah, it dwarfs everything around it. And again, this is kind of pulling from the Matterhorn idea. So when you go to the Matterhorn in Disneyland, of course, you run into Harold, the abominable snowman. You are going to have a similar creature in the Mount Fuji coaster as well. So
Mhm.
this was going to be all indoor, and at least most of the ride, it would appear that it was going to be indoors. But if you take
Yeah,
a
it looks like
close
there's
look,
part of the shoot. Yeah.
part of this, yeah, it's I would imagine probably at the end of the ride that was going to be where
Yeah.
you drop down the mountainside. So yeah, pretty cool idea. Even at one point they had thrown ideas around for Godzilla to be a part of the Japan Pavilion. So
We always say that with Disney, ideas are never totally thrown away. They get recycled or they get, reimagined into other things. And this, I can see a little bit of inspiration wherever it came from with this because we have an abominable snowman. I mean, the Yeti is, disco Yeti, but still, it's something in a mountain. So, a little bit of that came somewhere else. And this is the time frame of this. We're looking at what was this, like 89, I think some of these pictures were from. Or is
Right.
that or Switzerland? It's around that time, the late
That was
80s or early
pretty
90s.
early on too. I mean, because remember, if we look at that clip again, they're talking about the construction of American Adventure. So um, it had been in the works for quite a bit to have these two mountains represented in World Showcase, and this is a map of the ride layout inside of Mount Fuji, but very very similar to what we would see with the Matterhorn on Disneyland. So then there is a completely separate, not just ride, but pavilion.
Yeah.
Like we have the Japan pavilion, and I love the Japan pavilion.
You know,
Kumite,
I cannot wait until it is open again. I am just dying for tea service. Like
Yep.
that is calling my name.
Yep. So I mourn for the loss of this pavilion.
I know you do because this country has a special place in your heart.
Oh, you are absolutely correct. So I have
Thank
visited
you.
Switzerland, and it is one of my favorite places I've ever visited anywhere. It's a place that I would love to go back to at some point in time. I loved everything about it. I loved the people. I loved the scenery. I loved.
Now that I think about it, the last time when we were at an Epcot festival together a while back. No, what year was that? And we got food from
The
the
cheese.
Swiss.
Yeah, the cheese.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you really love Switzerland.
I
Look at
love
you.
Switzerland. Yeah, I love the food. It's great.
Gosh, that cheese was so good. Oh my Lord.
It'd be melty, and they just scrape it off the wheel. It was good. Very good. But where was I going with this? So
Scrapped country, scrap pavilion.
copper
He's
talker.
fine. Yeah.
No, but I was going to make a point, and it's been a day. So my brain is fried. So there was going to be. Let me show you exactly where this was going to be proposed. So this was going to sit in between Germany and the American Adventure Pavilion. So Susie and I were talking before the show, and she's like, "Well, how does Germany and Switzerland distinguish
No, don't
itself?"
say this. You make me sound like I'm like no. I know culturally.
No, and I
they're very
agree.
different,
Architecturally, it's
but
very similar.
architecturally and aesthetically, yes, there's a lot of similar. It's beautiful. It's the detail, and you can see just in the concept art that, of course, Disney would have
Oh,
implemented
we
should they
haven't
have built
showed
it.
the concept art. Oh, I remember what I was going to
Oh,
say.
sorry, I had to step out of the room for a second.
I have
We're
to give
still in a
credit.
little-
I have to give credit to whom credit is due for this. So, friends over at WDWNT, like many years ago, I think Tom got his hands on an actual concept art presentation booklet that Disney drew up to present to Switzerland for this. So that is where we got the all the pictures that you're going to see that we're going to be talking about if you're listening on audio came from this book. So thank you to WDWNT for posting those online. And so we're going to be talking about those, just kind of show them as a visual representation of what was going to be offered for the Swiss Pavilion. And here is the big picture. So
There we go. Okay.
This is the big concept art piece for what the pavilion would have looked like. And again, it is very similar to Germany in the way that it is, and slightly different. There are differences, and I think that what they had planned entertainment-wise for this pavilion outdoors, Lord only knows where they would be now with all the budget cuts.
Oh gosh. Bring that up.
You can see that there, if you look closely at this rendering, in the middle of the square there is a statue. It's William Tell. And there were going to be yodelers, and there were going to be people who were playing the Alp horns that you see in Beer Garden when you go to dinner or lunch over in the Germany Pavilion in Epcot. There was going to be a woodworking shop. There was going to be a chocolate and fine food store. There was going to be clocks, clothing merchandise, and then over, I can't remember if it's if it's the one on the left or on the right, but there was, I think I would imagine it's probably the one on the right. There was going to be
so too.
a nice restaurant, of course, and that restaurant was also going to include a VIP area on the second floor. Great views of World Showcase Lagoon. So you have your shops, you have your dining, you have your entertainment. If we look a little bit further back, and again, we have the giant centerpiece of the Matterhorn, but then we have some smaller hills and waterfalls. Again, Disney is, they are the masters of forced perspective. I think this would be similar to what we have for the waterfall over in Norway.
Yeah.
Kind of that setup just outside of Frozen. But the main attraction, of course, was going to be the Matterhorn bobsleds. And so let's talk about the theming of this exactly, because it's not the Matterhorn bobsleds of Disneyland.
No.
Nay.
It's something.
Yes, it is.
It's like if the Matterhorn and Space Mountain had a baby, and then if that baby
Journey through inner space
did mushrooms. It's a wild ride. But speaking of force or of the perspective, so it of course has to stay under the 200 feet because of 192, which I believe is still shorter than like Everest. I think Everest is one foot higher than Tower of Terror, I believe. I think that was what Rhodey tried to get higher than the
it's taller by like 6 inches or something like that.
6 inches, yeah, it's crazy.
But it's like 198 feet 6 inches or 199, so it's under that 200 mark. So I mean, we're talking about close to those numbers. So I mean, it's
so big.
It is not small. I mean, it would not sightline, like all the people who care about the sightlines, you would see this from a long way away.
I know, and again, that's the other. I keep saying it, but like I don't know if I would have liked that in Epcot. I guess you get used to it, but having it not there and then having a giant mountain like plop down, like it detracts from everything else quite a bit. Could you imagine having both mountains, by the way?
Yeah, that would be.
How weird would that be? Yeah. Anyway.
So for the main attraction, so you wander through the streets of the village, the Swiss village, and eventually you find yourself. Susie's laughing.
I don't understand this ride. I
love this so much.
It's so weird. Okay.
I love it. So you're wandering through. While on a woodland stroll, guests stumble upon a secret Swiss Olympic bobsled training camp and join in as competitors.
Okay. That sounds normal enough. But that's not the end of the story.
Oh, no. So you enter the ride queue through a shepherd's mountainside hut.
As all bobsledders do.
That is you see the little Alphorn guy above it? Yeah. You enter through a shepherd's hut, and that is the secret entrance for the cavern in the foothills.
Sorry, I just saw Michael's comment.
What did he say? About the summer experience?
No, no,
No.
no.
Oh, so
By the way, I did not know the full story of that movie before I saw it. So that
yeah,
was
did you
cool.
like that? That was fun, right?
No, I wanted to cry the whole time. All right, so we go in through
okay.
a shepherd's hut.
We go through the shepherd's hut,
Professional bobsledders.
which eventually leads us to the main, like the big queue area, which is a cavern. And not just any cavern, ladies and gentlemen. This cavern leads guests through an area that has super chilled water drinking fountains to quote unquote quench guests' thirst.
Your guess is as good as ours. Do you like lean over and just like drink out? Because it doesn't look like an actual fountain. It just
It
looks
looks
like
like
a
a pool
little.
of water. It's like the fountain of youth. I
Yeah,
don't know.
it's so weird.
So pretty cool, pretty cool.
I mean, it would look cool, and it'd be really cool if they made it cool, like it was chilly inside.
And I
Really cool.
apologize. I forgot to. Well, somehow I skipped a picture in the upload of this. But after the cavern, you eventually wind your way through, and you enter into the secret Swiss Olympic training facility. It's all like high tech and stuff.
It looks like the computer room from Spaceship Earth, where it's all like the mirror and like the tiles on the floor and everything. It just doesn't really match
Yeah,
Shepard's cabin and
you change
Travers.
scenery. So this is like a James Bond movie. Like it is the
bobsled.
secret lair of the Swiss Olympic bobsled team. So then you hop into one of the themed bobsleds, and they had several concept art designs for those as well. Which one do you like, Susie?
I like.
I kind
don't
of like the
know.
Swiss red.
Yeah,
The Swiss red is pretty cool.
yeah,
So
yeah. The top one. I don't. The top one looks very American.
option B looks too
I
German.
Yeah, I think like option D is the safest.
I also like option C as well. So anyway, so you hop in
Well,
your
there's option none because
obviously this didn't happen. Yes. So you hop in your bobsled, and this thing had like 3 lifts, and you go through some pretty fancy scenes. So again, this was like Space Mountain and the Matterhorn on steroids. It was going to incorporate some pretty interesting stuff. So at one point you you pass by an avalanche checker. I don't know if that's an animatronic or not, or if that's just a mannequin.
no, I think there's one cast member who just for like 16 hours a day.
That would be the coolest job ever.
That would be such a liability. Are you kidding me? I mean, it'd be really cool, but that'd
So
be
you go
terrible.
along the path, and then you go through the caverns. So you have stalactites and stalagmites, and it quote confirms guest suspicions that they are in a mountain and off the course, because right after the avalanche checker, you come to a part in the track where there's an overturned bobsled and is blocking the path. So you veer off course, and you actually go into the heart of the mountain, and that is
confirming suspicions.
yes.
Weird.
But once you were in the cavern, they were going to have this giant centerpiece of a crystal that was going to refract light, and there was going to be a light show inside of the crystal. So you have a huge visual centerpiece in the middle of this attraction. And then you, of course, were going to have we didn't even mention. So this was going to be a 2-track ride, and you would go left or go right, much like you do with Space Mountain, and you would have a point in the ride where you would have a near miss.
I
With
love this
the other
idea,
ride. I
actually.
love that ride
That's
idea.
so cool.
Yep. And then this ride was also going to incorporate projection technology. So towards the end of the ride, in the big finale, there was going to be like an avalanche, and the caverns start caving in, and ice is falling. They were going to use projection technology to show this. And then the big finale is you go through a waterfall curtain, and you are back on course.
Now, I think it's important to note this was one storyboard.
This is true. And when you pull into the station, you were met with applause from the bobsled team, because you have broken the bobsled course record.
Wow.
So that's pretty cool. Yes, there was a plan B.
And sometimes in life, you just shouldn't share every idea that you have with people. Some ideas should just be kept to yourself, and this is one of them.
Swansea is like, Yul Brynner yells out, "I see pride, I see power."
Well, he's got
going to repeat the rest of that. So,
and we've got a John Candy reference as well. Because
yes.
Cool Runnings. Who doesn't? I mean, it's not Switzerland, but who doesn't think of Cool Runnings when they think of bobsleds?
Bobsled. Swiss. Hey, the Swiss are in that movie.
Yes, they are.
So anyway, there was a plan B, and it was less cool. It was something.
It made less sense. It kind of on its own objectively is cool if the point was to have it be nothing like Switzerland.
Well, I mean, some of it made sense. So like when you were coming up one of the lift hills, you were going to be surrounded by screeching, whirling bats, and they dart around guest head. So that kind of makes sense. You're in the middle of a mountain.
Okay.
There are creatures flying about.
Yeah, but keep going.
I can get on with that. But then there are elements also like the xylophone.
Colorful overhead bars chase toward the bobsleds. The bars and track diverge for a surprise effect, increasing in pitch. Xylophone-like tones add to the effect. What?
So you go down the hill. Bloop. So interesting.
Okay.
It's so Swiss. It's so Swiss, right?
Yeah.
This just screams Switzerland.
Yeah.
Well, alas,
it
did not take place.
No.
We did not get the secret Swiss Olympic bobsled ride, nor did we get a secret Swiss pavilion.
Swansea. Disco bats when they break down, because like disco. That's really funny.
Good stuff.
You know, it's funny to like look back now and be like, what in the world? I mean, at the time, I also would have been like, what in the world? Could you imagine being the Imagineer to like pitch this to like the president of Switzerland and then be like, and then xylophones, and they'd be like, what? What are you talking about? I don't know what accents they have in Switzerland. But I would imagine this would have gotten updated very often, because this technology with their version of projections and different things would be outdated pretty quickly.
Yeah. So, yeah, this kind of makes me sad. I think I personally would love to see this pavilion. We say that no idea ever truly dies at Disney. I think this one is fully dead, unfortunately.
Again, though, little elements of this too probably made their way into maybe not things that we can see in Everest, but I would imagine like maybe technology-wise or just building or some kind of process for how they did Everest, because that is a roller coaster and a mountain ride. Right. That's the only one we have in Florida.
And sometimes you are absolutely correct. Sometimes we see ideas kind of pop up again, but in different places. You look at Equatorial Africa. I think you saw a lot of those ideas for Animal Kingdom, and those came to life. I think Harambe Market area, like in like the Market Square area, is what we probably would have had in Epcot for that. So yeah, it's interesting to see where things pop up again once they fizzle out for a time. So we got a comment here from Spencer.
Oh my gosh.
Haven't seen Spencer in a while. That's why I had to see. Just had to get going soon. I'll be sure to watch the replay. But Kenny Ortega has been awfully quiet on social media recently. What is he up to? Could be an episode. Maybe he's helping plan the revival of the Swiss Pavilion. Calling it.
Oh my gosh. I love how that joke had like gone away. I don't love that it was gone, but I love the running Kenny Ortega joke that we have going on. Yeah, maybe he could like coordinate the dancing for the Alps. Do they dance in Switzerland?
I'm sure they do.
I'm sure they do.
I'm sure they do. So, but yeah, and Epcot in general has a very interesting history. Like, we think canceled projects are bad now. I mean,
yeah. Well,
full
Epcot
on
took years to
countries.
get its footing, really. Before they even, I mean, it's still kind of, it was, chill for a while, but we did have abandoned buildings. We did have empty things that you just walk past, or you'd go in there to get your pass holder magnet and you're like, what is this entire building? Like, it's just not being used.
Yeah.
So I think in the next, gosh, when is all this going to be done? Because part of it just opened. Some of the new walkway along Future World just opened up this week. So hopefully by the end of the year, I would think.
Yep.
Some of this should be done. And Guardians is supposed to be open. Rumor has it Memorial Day weekend. And I'm only saying that. We don't like to say rumors, but that's because one of the execs accidentally like shared a date in a tweet and then deleted the tweet and then retweeted the same thing, but without the date, and was like, coming soon.
Yeah. And he originally tagged a Epcot parody account. Was super fun.
Yeah, that was a whole mess.
Yeah. Anyway.
But so things are coming. Epcot is, ever evolving, which I think is true to Epcot, because that's the entire purpose, is innovation and future and moving forward and all of that stuff. So we'll see how all of that shapes out. But over time,
Michael's asking, are all the countries fully back open yet?
I saw that.
So no, because
mostly
Epcot World Showcase is not fully open until all the restaurants are back, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, and how many of the little, the performances are still not all back yet either. They've added some more, but hopefully soon. Oh my gosh. And we really should be getting like character meet and greet soon, in my opinion.
Yep, hopefully soon. I'm looking forward to the day. And this is one of the things I loved about Epcot and World Showcase, were for the countries around World Showcase, the cast members there were from those countries. And
makes a huge difference.
It does make a huge difference. And not all of the countries are back to doing that just yet. So I think Japan is like one of the big ones. Trying to think.
China has a lot of representation there. I remember when I went in August and we went to Nine Dragons, and I was very excited to see the entire staff was Chinese. And it's like, okay, things are getting back to normal. And it changes your experience. You ask them questions about different things, and it just, I don't know. Again, that just feeds into the spirit of Epcot.
100%. So
much like our countdown song.
Yes, we go on.
We didn't talk about.
all the people who listen on audio miss the countdown every week. So I try to pick out a different. I've started trying to pick out related music, Disney music for our topic. And since we were in Epcot, I just chose an old Epcot song. So one of my favorites. So
Yeah. But you also do like Harmonia. So I'm glad you're not like bitter about that show.
I had my mourning period. So there was a time where I did mourn the death of Illuminations, especially when Epcot Forever was its immediate replacement. I was like, oh no.
It was a good idea, but it was poor execution.
Yeah. So, but yeah, love Epcot in general and looking forward to the future of Epcot, whether we get a Swiss Pavilion or not, or Mount Fuji.
We'll always have a Swiss kiosk though for food and wine.
Yes, for food and wine.
There
Anyway.
will always be cheese.
Yep. Speaking of festivals, Flower and Garden is in full swing. So if you would
Full bloom.
full bloom, and it's running all the way through July 4th, guys. Like it's over 100 days of flowers and food and gardens. So if you would like to take a trip to Disney for the festival, go to Epcot. We would love to help you do that. Again, we're going to put up our email. You can email us at imagineerspodcast@gmail.com, and we'll be able to help you with your Disney vacation planning and whatever vacation planning you need. So it doesn't have to be Disney. It can be literally anything. We can help get you there. And again, our services come at no additional cost to you. Well, I think that is going to do it for the episode. So thank you for listening, guys. If you want to follow us on social media, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Go on any of those and search for the Imagineers Disney podcast, and you'll be able to find our content. Our link tree is also there, where you can find our Discord channel. And where every week we do most every week we do our movie night. And this Friday night we are going to be watching Turning Red.
I watched that last night.
Yep. So we'll be watching Turning Red together at 8 p.m. Eastern on Friday on Discord. So we log into Disney Plus in our own Disney Plus accounts, and right at 8 o'clock we hit play, and then we have commentary on Discord throughout the movie. So we have a good time. What did we watch last week? Can't remember. Did we do anything last week? No, we didn't do anything. We watched West Side Story last time, so that was fun.
No, wasn't I cried?
Yeah, it's a pretty rough ending. Spoilers.
Yeah. I love that movie though.
Yeah.
Real quick, Steve asked a question. I think this is a good way to end up our episode. Favorite place to eat in Epcot?
Ooh, favorite place to eat in Epcot? 100% Takumi Tay. So I have not personally experienced Victoria and Albert's. It's on the list. That should be coming by the end of the year. So I definitely want to take my wife down there for a really nice meal, because Victoria and Albert's is regarded as the best restaurant at Disney, not just at Disney, maybe one of the best restaurants in all of Florida. But outside of that, and I've eaten pretty much everywhere else, Takumi Tay was the best experience that I've had at any Disney restaurant. So I'm excited for that to come back. So yeah.
I'm excited to try it. My answer is, as a vegetarian, it's a little different for me. I just love, it's my favorite kind of food anyway. All three restaurants in Morocco are just delicious.
Yep.
And yeah, they're all very unique. You would think like the smaller of the countries, like Morocco, having three restaurants, but they are all fantastic.
Yep.
I think Spice Road might be my favorite.
I love Epcot in general for their dining options. So most of them are pretty solid. I'm probably done with Garden Grill for a while.
Swansea. Okay, Coral Reef is actually, I actually do like Coral Reef. They have a very good plant-based option.
The shrimp and grits last time I was at Coral Reef were actually pretty good. I actually had a good experience at Coral Reef last time. I think Coral Reef is becoming more consistent. And I think that's actually a popular trend across a lot of the Disney restaurants. Some who maybe didn't previously have a great reputation
Mhm.
have improved on some things over the pandemic and have
Well, that's
up
good.
their game. So I think that is what I've experienced personally across the board at a lot of places. So, but yeah, Epcot is a great place if you like food. And again, we talk about the festivals a lot and the great thing to do about going to the outdoor kitchens and sharing stuff with that. But some of those sit down restaurants, one, it's a great place to get out of the heat, but two, you're going to get a good meal. So,
Yeah,
um,
definitely.
and when you book with us, yeah, and this is again, I'll say this and we'll finish. One of the benefits with booking, especially a Disney vacation with us, we've been going there our entire lives, and we've experienced a lot, most everything on property. Obviously, we've been to all the parks. Um, we're experts in the parks. We're experts in the resorts. Stayed at pretty much all the resorts, all the restaurants. So when families come to us um, that have dietary needs or restrictions or preferences, if they like Star Wars or if they like princesses, we can send you and basically create a custom vacation package just for you and your family. So we're going to weed out the options that you probably would not prefer based on what you like.
Mhm.
So it's a custom experience for you guys. So we love doing that for all of our clients. So again, shoot us an email. We'll be happy to help you out. But we're going to go ahead and wrap this thing up. We appreciate you guys. Thank you for listening. If you haven't subscribed to the podcast, you can do so by finding us on any podcast provider that you like to listen to just by searching for the Imagineers Disney podcast. We are on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, and leave us a review if you have enjoyed listening to the show. Leave us a 5-star review. Let us know what you love about the show. And we look forward to coming at you next week with another episode. But until then, friends, remember, if you can dream it, you can do it.
There's really no secret about our approach. We keep moving forward, opening up new doors, doing new things, because we're curious. And curiosity keeps leading us down new paths. We're always exploring and experimenting.